So, James Griffith, welcome on board on Halifax voice.co.uk. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Well, I'm James Griffith Jones, and I'm standing for Halifax for obviously Parliament on the 4th of July. I'm 48. I'm a partnerships manager, and I'm married with a 14-year-old young man.
Oh, yeah.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
14 years old. Is that underage or something? Is that?
Yeah, he's 14, yeah.
And you're married to a 14 years old guy, yeah?
No. That's how old my son is.
Hey? Can you explain that? 'Cause I don't really catch that. Yeah.
So I'm married
Yeah.
with one son,
Okay.
and he's
Okay.
14 years old.
Oh, your son is 14 years old.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought
No,
you
I'm
got
not married to
you.
anyone who's 14.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were getting married to someone underage. Yeah.
No, God, no.
So you're
Oh,
married to a son 14 years old. Yeah, that's fine. You must be having fun with a teenager. Yeah, a lot of adrenaline
yeah,
there, testosterone building up, and so forth.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
what do you
But
what
we've
do
all
you
been through it.
yeah? So what do you do like in terms of work wise and generally in Halifax? Where were you from Halifax?
Yeah, yeah, just outside. So basically, I'm a partnerships manager. So
Yeah.
it basically account management with business development as well.
Okay.
And it's helping. Well, it's partnering up with universities and student accommodation. That's the part I'm involved in, and that's basically providing furniture items, mattresses, white goods,
Yeah.
and every summer when all the students go, they basically replenish everything within the building. So it's quite busy during the summer, and yeah, that's it really. I mean,
So
but what some of my customers are all around. So Halifax, Huddersfield, York, Leeds. Yeah, so it's my region. So I'm in and out all the time.
yeah. So let's get straight into it. So in terms
Yeah.
of political career, when do your political career start?
Oh God. Well, my dad was when I was growing up. My dad was very involved in politics, and he ran against John Prescott in Hull. Um, don't tell me what the year is. I do forget. Obviously, he lost, but I remember the days when on a Sunday we'd go out and we'd deliver leaflets and these sort of newsletters to everybody's doors. So that was the kind of first introduction. But I've always sort of had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I really do deeply care about what goes on and about people, about the country, about events, and how we can make it better for everybody. And then I got involved actually with Vote Leave
Okay.
because I really did feel that from 16 years old that although Europe was great and we always went on holiday abroad, I just didn't want the country to be managed by somebody else. So I joined UKIP and then the Vote Leave. So we did that, and obviously we won. Obviously, there's been a lot of nonsense after that, but I then stood for Batley West for Halifax, for UKIP in the locals, and I've stood twice now in Murfield for the Reform Party for the local elections.
So going back to UKIP, and obviously Brexit is tightly attached to UKIP. Do you think Brexit was a good decision?
I do, yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, the reason we're in this mess is because at least we can self-govern. So we can't blame it on anybody else anymore. And I think because a lot of the laws were made in the EU, I then start questioning what were our members of parliament doing for 40 years, because they weren't making any laws, they weren't putting together any regulations, it was all being done in Brussels. So basically it was just a gravy train. But yeah, I think it's still good. You know, the world hasn't come crashing down. We didn't fall off a cliff edge like we were told. But we just need to start getting it right. We need some good, decent people who love their country, who love Britain, who want the best for it, and can take the country forward in a pragmatic way. And that is working with people across Europe as well, all nations. I think if we can get that, then it will be a real success moving forward.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about local politics within Halifax. How do you see the problem within Halifax from your perspective?
Well, talking to a lot of people in and around the area, there seems to be quite a disconnect between the council and the people. But I think that's mirrored everywhere across the UK.
Yeah.
There's some very deprived areas. I was talking to some retail people on Saturday in the town centre. They feel that there's not enough footfall, that not enough investment has been made, there's not enough parking. Halifax isn't being marketed, very little inward investment. So what I would want to do is to basically create a community hub, if you like. That means bringing people in from the world of business, retail, education, all faiths, you know, the police, community groups, and just really just work through, you know, what do we want? You know, what do we want the council to do? Because the council should be working for us. It's our money. It's not theirs. There needs to be a lot more transparency. And if we can come at it as a group, I mean, we're more powerful together than we are divided, which is what they always want to do. And just get a voice for everybody. Just listen to each other's concerns, work together, a big team. Just moving forwards, you know, and taking Halifax to the next level. And I think as an MP, I don't understand why MPs are not taking councils to task when they're doing something wrong, or they're overspending, or they're spending on the wrong areas. And I think that's what a constituency MP is for. Yes, it's to help people in the local area with, you know, certain challenges that they may have, but it's also to have someone above the council to hold them to account and make sure that they're doing the right stuff for everybody, and that, you know, and bringing the community together, and promoting Halifax as much as they can, and that will benefit retail, that benefit, you know, all different kind of areas, and that's where I will find out what's going on. I mean, yeah, you can sit with people, you could help them, support them, but if you don't know what's going on, everything has to come from the ground upwards. So that would be my plan, but it's very, very difficult because it's all hypothetical at the moment, because I may not get elected. So I'm very limited in what I could do at this moment in time. And I do get a lot of people at the moment, a lot of emails from different groups within Halifax asking for some support. But at this stage, because I'm not elected and I don't have any way of changing anything, it's very difficult for me to support anybody at the moment.
So what kind of questions are the public asking you?
So it's climate change, Palestine, of course, hunting, hospitality groups about bars and restaurants and stuff like that. It's all manner of things: hospitals, healthcare, women's safe spaces. I had one the other day because of the trans thing. Yeah, and it just goes on and on and on and on. But I just, yeah, I can only say, I can only email back saying that, I do support your causes. However, I can't really do a lot
Yeah.
until or if I am, elected.
Yeah. So let's delve down into your pledges. We got any list of pledges? Because the only leaflet that I've seen is or information about you is was on the internet, and just a leaflet that's come through the post, and it was plastered with immigration on there. So I just want to see more of the pledges before we move down into the detailed discussion on immigration and Palestine and
Mm.
European Union and so forth. So, what are the main pledges? Because they're not quite evident or highlighted anywhere. What are your main pledges for Halifax?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit different because if you're going for a council seat, that is a level you're at is where you do pledge to spend money on potholes and schooling and the sort of stuff, the infrastructure stuff, the day to day, week to week, um, you know, stuff that has to be sorted out within the whole community. Pledge wise, because I'll be representing Halifax from a national perspective, one of the big things I do want to do is look to bring investment into Halifax. Bring investment means that'll create jobs again. And again, just working with the whole community, no matter who they are, what
Yeah,
their background is.
there's big problems within Halifax, and they are related to a lot of them are related to cost of living crisis. Then you got the NHS problem, waiting times for to
Mm,
seen by the doctors. How are you going to resolve that cost of living crisis first of all within Halifax? Because food banks are expanding. There's so many people going to food banks. There's food banks all around Halifax town centre
mm.
nowadays. So there's definitely a cost of living crisis now. How are you going to resolve that?
Well, from a national perspective, what we want to do is raise the threshold first and foremost for working people from 12,500 to 20,000.
Yes.
Number one, that will give more money to people in their pocket to spend in the real economy and on the things that they want. So that should help with the cost of living in the short term. That should also, what we want to do is incentivize people to go to work, and instead of just sitting on benefits, along with apprenticeships and training within the community. So that's the first thing I think major we want to do. I think people just need more money in their pockets. Food banks. I mean, it's so sad that we're in this position. And I wish there was no food banks, but I think the first thing is we have to put money back into people's pockets so they can then spend it as they want. Um, so that's how we would tackle the cost of crisis limit in the short term, and then obviously in the long term we'll look to get people into work, and just expand all the training opportunities, not just for young people but also for adults as well who maybe want to change career, or want to do something else. The NHS, what we want to do is we
Sorry,
want to work
can
in
I
partnership.
just, John, can I just
Yeah.
ask you a leading question from there about
Yeah.
training and so forth? Now, I think this links in quite nicely with your core values like immigration and so forth.
Mm,
How do you motivate people, uh, indigenous people in UK to go into employment? Because during the COVID, there were plenty of jobs in picking vegetables and produce, and there were like 150,000 people came from Europe to to take these jobs up in Norfolk and all around these areas, agricultural areas, and the UK population was sitting around idle doing nothing, whereas foreign people were taking these opportunities on board. So what's your views on that?
Well, basically, it all goes back into this idea, and the reality is that Britain is broken. I mean, Britain was the. I still think it is the greatest nation on earth. We created the steam engine. We created all these different industries. Now, a lot of countries, they now automate a lot of their farming, but Britain, because we're so backwards at the moment, we've not caught up with the rest of the world. And I never thought that I'd be sitting here saying that Britain needs to catch up with the rest of the world, because we led on everything. Everything that people see around the world is pretty much, it's come from the British. So I think what we would look to do is, yeah, work with farmers and agriculture to start putting in some smart, machinery, have a look abroad, see what they're doing, how they're doing. I mean, in 2023, to have people picking potatoes out of the ground. I mean, it's like we're back in the
But
1900s. I
then
mean,
then again, this is where we are at the moment. Yeah,
yeah,
and what my main question was about employment. Now we've fetched people from Europe, Romania, Ukraine, all these countries in the COVID era. There was about, I think there was a newspaper saying there's 150 vacancies in Norfolk, and they couldn't find anyone. People were sitting idle doing nothing, and there were people from Europe coming over to help the agricultural industry to pick
mm.
lettuces and produce like that. I'm asking you, how are you going to motivate the people that are sitting on benefits? How are you going to motivate them to go out there and work?
Well, I think it just takes leadership, and there is a policy you want to do that. If you turn down 2 job offers, you lose your benefits. But also, we have to promote as well. We have to promote the benefits of going to work. The benefits of looking after yourself, earning a good wage, having aspiration. That's something that we've taken away from our own people, especially the young. And so, from a policy point of view, we wouldn't allow people to sit on benefits first and foremost. Um, but we would actually work with them to find an area where they'd be more comfortable to go to work and to make work pay. So we don't get any of these excuses where it costs them more money to go to work than it does to sit at home on benefits. So the whole thing needs the fundamental change, a bit of leadership, a bit of aspiration, and then a bit of, motivation from the top, rather than just putting them all down all the time. And also a little bit of tough love, carrot and stick. You know,
If you look at Halifax in particular, we're predominantly a financial town. There's banks, there's insurance companies, big ones here, and um, I mean, what are you going to provide? I mean, are you looking into providing some training or training of the staff here?
well, yeah. I mean, I think this is a wider conversation with business, with big business, because we are pretty much run by big corporates like Amazon and banks, and so I would have. What I'd want to do as well is speak to the business community, speak to them about, why they're fixated on. Well, I know why, because it's cheap labour, and to really sort of work with them to say, look, there's all these people we need to get them out. They need to be able to work in these industries, and then work with education providers in the local area, and then we're all working as one. And it also comes from parents as well, um, to get their children motivated for the world of work, and obviously that all starts with education as well. So again, it's about, for me, talking to every part of the community in Halifax to find out what the real challenges are and what we can all do to make it better for everybody. On a national level, obviously, you know, those policies are set by head office, but I think we are on the right track as well, and which will then filter down into the different constituencies. Hopefully that we're representative.
Yeah. In terms of elections and your canvassing around Halifax, which areas are you canvassing? Are you? I mean, there's some reports out there that that you're trying. There's some newspaper articles that I read that you're more or less canvassing in areas where there's heavy conservative there, and you've been placed there to split the conservative vote.
Well, the Conservatives are doing a pretty good job at their own. They're tearing themselves apart. So uh, for me to be concentrating there would be silly, really. You know, they're destroying themselves. They're eating away. They're eating. Yeah. So I'm trying to have a broad. You know, we did a street stall in Halifax on Saturday. And I was talking to people who vote Labour, who are thoroughly just let down by the two big parties,
Yes.
you know, and they voted Labour all their life. He was telling me and all his family, but they're not going to vote for Labour this time around. There is a real sense of despair, and that if people don't take a stand in this general election, then they feel that the country's just going to be lost, and they're voting really for their children and their grandchildren. So that's why I'm talking to you now, because I'm trying to represent, or I want to speak to everybody.
Yes.
And you know, because in reality, if I do get elected, then I am going to have to work with everybody, and try and support and help everybody in Halifax, and regardless of their age, their religious background, you know, their ethics, whatever. But yeah, so I'm not just targeting the Conservatives. Actually, Northern Conservative candidates are being asked to go to the South in order to help campaigns there, because they know that they've completely lost the votes up here, especially in the Red Wall. So they're putting all their resources into the South, where there's Liberal Democrat seats, because they've lost. I mean, they've lost everything around here. And I sent you that poll from YouGov.
Yes.
So I mean, a vote for Conservative is going to be a vote for Labour. And I was actually speaking to Paveen on Saturday, because she was handing out leaflets as well, and we had a good chat. Yeah, I mean, people have always said that I'm a people person, and I am. And I've lived and worked all over the world. Everybody's got a story, and I'm just so interested in what people have to say. I don't judge anybody. I'm not tribal. I try to see the view on both sides of the coin, and I think that serves me well, because we are consistently being pushed into taking sides all the time on every issue, and I think sometimes you just got to stand back and listen to both sides, because everybody's got a valid point of view, and you know, sometimes you have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get into more controversial values that the reform holds. I think that's putting a bit of a smile on your face around what Farage has been saying in the past and current and future about British values clashing with Muslim values and Islamic values. So what's the stance on that? The Reform Party seems to be more Islamophobic.
No. I mean, yeah, I sent you that article because our biggest donor is a Muslim entrepreneur, and if you watched his interview with Camilla Tominay, she was asking the exact same question. But listen, I mean, what Nigel was talking about was that on both sides of each argument there is an extreme element, that because we now live in Great Britain, we now live in a society where the minority is listened to rather than the majority. And so he was just trying to explain that, you know, some of these pockets of mainly young Muslims haven't got the British values. I mean, if you listen to the you know, the guy on with Camilla Tominey, he was saying the reason he's putting money into reform is because his parents, their generation, second generation, third, who came to Great Britain, they love this country. They're patriots. You know, they like our value. They love, you know, the fairness, that everybody has an opportunity, that anybody can do well in life. And that part of the Muslim community, everybody,
Yeah, but
but there is no
what do you define as British values?
fairness.
Yeah. Let me bring you some statistics that I've heard from GB News. Where is it? Here, some figures here. Like for example, these are very controversial figures here. Women taking traditional roles. Now, traditional roles like being housewives and so forth. 33% of the non-Muslims said that these are desirable. This is desirable. Would you class that as British value?
Say that again. I'm just
So basically, women taking traditional roles, like you know, back in the 50s and 60s when they didn't go out to work and so forth, and then they looked after the house, children and babies and so forth, and men was the breadwinner and so forth. Now, non-Muslims, 33% of them said that this is desirable. So that's out the population. Do you class that as British values?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's move on to
I think we've lost it. Yeah, we've lost that element.
Yeah.
We need more mothers and we need more babies.
Yeah. So outlawing homosexuality. 15%
No.
15% of the non-Muslims have said that is that we should outlaw homosexuality. That is British values, isn't it? 15%.
No. No, tolerance. That's a British value.
Yeah. So
again, 15% is the extreme elements that I was just talking about. So the very, very small fringe part is the 15%, but that is not the majority view. Listen, there's tolerance, which we've got in Britain. I think one of the thing is you just don't want it shoved down your throat or in your face. But people are free to do whatever they want to do, and as long as they're not.
If you look at the 50s, the British values were, let's say, for example, I went to, let's say, Alan Turing in the 30s. He was a homosexual. Just discovered a couple of years ago that he had those. So back then, this was shunned on. These were British values that they didn't agree to this, and now there's British values that are this is accepted now. So would you say British values are evolving?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it was outlawed, just as it was in every other Western country, and it is still outlawed in some sort of Middle Eastern countries. So it's about evolution and progression. I mean, the women didn't have the vote, but the suffragettes made sure that, you know, and they died and took a lot of abuse to get women to have a vote. But Britain has been at the forefront of all of this. You know, we were a part of it up to a point, and then we decided that we're not going to do it. We're going to progress our society, and then promote that around the world. And we've always been at the forefront of that sort of stuff. But I don't think it was values. I think it was the law. So whether you liked it or not, British law, you know, would not allow it until they changed it.
So you'd say that British values of there's no concrete British values. There's no definition of British values. It's always evolving. What would you define British
It is,
values
yeah.
as? Apart from economics, what would you define British values are?
What now?
Yeah.
Because obviously we've spoke about progression, so I think now it's yeah, no, it's quite difficult because a lot of it's being eroded. You see, family is British values, tolerance, fairness. I would just say service. Yeah.
I mean, is there a criteria to say these are our values? Like you got
No,
there isn't.
no. I mean, it's like we've got a constitution, but it's not written down. I mean, we've got the Magna Carta, but there is no British constitution. It's not like the American Bill of Rights. It's just something that we've always done, and it's just become part of the fabric of our society. But I don't think we're progressing at the moment. I think we're going backwards. And from all the people I speak to,
backwards in what sense? I mean, you've not clearly defined what British values are. So how are we going? I mean, how do you evaluate that we're going backwards?
Because nothing works, things are broken, society's fractured, there's no cohesion, there's no community.
Give me some examples.
There are communities, but there's a lot of non-integration, which is wrong. And just, so the fairness part and all these things that we've spoken about kind of just disappearing from British society. And I don't know, just in a very, very strange part of British history. But I really do like history. So if I do look back, Britain has gone through these challenges before, and we've always come out of it for the best and for the better. And I think we're just in that part of history now where we just need something new and fresh, and we need to all work together to get this country back up and running and back.
Yeah, let's move on to the national and international things now. More talking about Farage and Palestine and Ukraine and so forth. Let's start with immigration, because immigration is all plastered all around your leafleting everywhere throughout the country. So why do you see immigration as a problem?
We don't see it as a problem because we do need immigrants. Just the word immigrant, doesn't it sound awful? The people at the end of the day. So we need people in healthcare. We need, doctors and, people with those skills. And we're not saying that they can't come in, because they come, they help, they get involved. It's the mass unskilled immigration which is now putting lots and lots of pressure on all the different parts of Britain, and whether it's from the train system, the healthcare system, the legal system, housing, social cohesion, sort of crime. So it is too much, and any sensible nation, apart from America at the moment, make sure that they get the right balance. So we're not saying no to lots of people coming in. We're saying, we need good people in hospitals and GP surgeries. And when they come, because they're in a smaller number, they're welcome. Everybody welcomes them, and everybody just gets on and blends into the community and gets on with it. But it's when it's unskilled, mass unskilled, which is pulling people's wages down.
What evidence do you have? There's mass people coming in. There's a lot of restrictions to come to UK. And what makes you say that?
750,000
what
people.
do you define as mass?
Anything over 100,000 people in 1 year.
Yeah, but
750,000, that's legal migrants coming over. That's not the thousands and thousands and thousands crossing the channel. It's it's not demonizing people. It's not saying these people aren't human, or, you know, we don't want them because they're whatever. It's just it's being intelligent enough and pragmatic enough to say, okay, there's a real challenge here. I think what we need to do is have immigration, yes, because it's good and positive. But we really do need to look at the numbers. We really need to build the infrastructure before we let another a group of people come across. And what we've done is we've not caught up. You know, we've not prepared. You know, intelligent nations prepare first. They make sure there's enough schools. They make sure there's enough teachers. They make sure there's enough hospitals. They know there's, you know, the transport system, it can work and can accommodate. Want to make sure that houses are built before you allow lots and lots of people in. And I just think that's a more intelligent and adult and pragmatic way of looking at the situation. Yeah, it's, for me, it's common sense. And I think there's lots of nations around the world who share that view as well.
Okay, what I want to know is there's about nearly 1 million civil servants out there. Do you think they are not looking into this problem of immigration and then not cupping it down? Why have you used that as a basis, the foundation of the Reform Party? Why is that
Because
foundation? Because there's loads, there's civil service. I'm sure they have done the surveys, they've done the assessment, they've done the balance in the books and allowed relevant people in quarter per year. I think I'm going to cut out for in one minute. Shall we redial again, because I've just, is it possible?
Because I can only give you 30 minutes today.
That is very good, interesting discussion, because I've not finished it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
if you don't mind.
Do you know what? It's good to have a good discussion, and you know, and be adult, and you know, and that's how things get resolved, and that's how things progress.
About Palestine, yeah. I think we need another 10 or 20 minutes on Palestine, because the community, the Park ward especially, there's about 5,000 votes there that won't want to hear your views. So I think it's going to cut off, because I try to pay for this, but I couldn't do it today. So I've got you can redial the same link again. You can use the same link again for another 15 minutes, until 6 o'clock. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
It's been a very good discussion. I like this one. Yeah. Okay, let's redial again and then come back in again. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so what do I do? Do I come out and then go back
and click on that link again? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Let's turn into international politics and something that's affecting everyone in UK, and that's Palestine and genocide in Palestine as well. Just want to ask your views regarding the situation that's happening in Palestine. How do you see what is the Reform Party going to do about the issue of Palestine?
Well, if you heard Nigel today, the speech in Maidstone, and we want peace. That's what we want. We want peace in Ukraine. We want peace around the world. War serves nobody. It serves nobody. And I just cannot imagine what those people are going through in Palestine. It's very, 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 very sad. But it was equally as sad what happened in Israel. And this is what I mean. This is, you kind of being pushed and pulled to one side, and I try really not to do that. It should stop. But both sides have to be willing to compromise at some point. And that's what it's all about. That's how you sort things out.
But now the issue is Britain's involvement in Palestine. It was Britain and France that gave Palestine away to the European Jews, and
Mm.
they, because they were look after the World War II, they were looking for a home for themselves, and that's it. You got Israel there. So the Britain's got a huge part to play because there's a lot of sales of arms to Israel. There's a lot of transactions that are happening there. What would you do as reform to take us out of Israel and have they are fully supporting it? Country all around the country. I mean, going back to Farage's main statement that he made in front of Trevor Phillips, that there's these are the people you're scared of, the ones who are protesting in London, and he specifically mentioned Muslims, whereas majority of people that are protesting, the 80% of them are non-Muslims.
I know I've got Muslim friends who've been down to London to protest in them, and they're very peaceful.
Yeah.
But again, we spoke on the last video, you do have a very fringe, small minority of people in any group, whether it's, I don't know, whether it's a BNP or whether it's just Stop Oil, or, I mean, these are very, very, very small groups of people. I mean, it pretty much insignificant, but the majority are peace-loving, and they're making a statement, and I think everybody understands and gets it. It's always ruined by a very small minority of a group,
But
and that's
Nigel,
what.
sorry, James. Nigel Farage, he specifically said they are the people that we not adjusting to British values, meaning the Muslims. There, he specifically said it. And Trevor Phillips was, I mean,
No, what he said is again, you're trying to take things out of context and blow them up into something that was never said. He spoke about a fringe, a very small minority, and you know, I've got Muslim friends who agree and who integrate and who get on with it and have businesses and have friends all over the place who are non-Muslims. And it's just, what happens is the media conflates all these divisions in, where there isn't any. But with any group, whether it's far right or Antifa or they're, you know, Greta Thunberg and all these people, the whole issue is blown out of all proportion to divide us. But the majority of people and Muslims that Nigel was talking about are absolutely part of our society and valued.
yeah, we
And
came across
on,
this
on you know, on the lower, the, the 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 problem with our society is nothing is seen as a on the ground day to day. We're chatting now, you and me,
yes,
on the level as equals,
yes,
and we're having a great conversation. A lot of the stuff we agree with, you know, and that's what's happening every day of the week. And what they're doing is they're trying to blow everything up out of proportion, so you and me start arguing with each other, and then we don't like each other because so and so said this and so said that. I just hate getting involved in conversations where it's all about division. The majority of those protests in London have gone really, really peaceful. And on the other hand, the Patriots March as well, the last time when they had their rally, that was peaceful. And that's what we've got to get back to. And not listen to,
but you know, like
not taking little parts
James,
of conversations and blowing them all up just
James,
into this
between
massive
me
big
and
deal.
you, we're having a sensible conversation, but it's
Mm.
leaders that count. So your leaders have been saying statements like this, you know, Islamophobic statements, racist statements. I support for Enoch Powell being his best friend, all that kind of stuff. That's
I don't
something.
think he said that.
That's something doesn't go. It doesn't go well in the Muslim
But
community.
he's never said he I watched Enoch Powell on YouTube. I've watched different people on YouTube, because knowledge is power. You've got to find out what people are saying before you
I
start
mean,
giving an
you also
opinion.
mentioned in your earlier conversation that controlled immigration and not mass immigration is good, but you got to understand that these immigrants that are coming, they will bring their own culture, their own identity, their own habits into the country as well. Yeah,
Mm.
and
So what's your thoughts on that
mm, um,
from your communities?
I'm asking you. I think we should be tolerant on all societies, everyone who comes forward. But the reform is got. We've got a perception that it's got a different thought. That it's all about immigration. They won't integrate into the community. But obviously, someone who's, let's say, for example, NHS workers come along. Yeah, they probably 20s, 25 above, yeah, midlife, so they've lived a cultural life in their own country. And would you want them to adapt to UK culture straight away, or what is your views on that? I mean, they're going to bring their own culture into the community as well. Like, for example,
Yeah,
in the
that's fair. Listen,
historic
if you go to Australia,
historically, Britain was from the Danes who came here, Anglo-Saxons. They brought their own
mm,
culture through, yeah, and they
yes,
adapted and evolved. Similarly, you've got a situation that immigration people are not everyone is the same. They have their different cultural habits. They have their different beliefs. They bring their own cultural practices
yes,
here. So,
yeah, I totally agree. But I tell you what, I've been to America, I've been to Australia, I've been to I've lived in the Gulf states.
mm,
There's lots and lots of people from all different cultures, all different backgrounds, all different religions. But what's happened is those societies have had multiculturalism, but for a long, 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 long time. And so, if you look at America, yes, you're an immigrant. You call them, I call them people. Yes, you've got your own background. Yes, you've got your own religion, but everybody swears under the American flag. They all swear to the they all swear allegiance to the American sort of, Bill of Rights or whatever it is. But that's happened over many, many years, many, many centuries. I mean, any culture. I mean, Australia is very good at it as well. Because their society, like Britain, has been made through migration of people coming here to work and to live and have a family. But what's happened is when you have huge amounts of people coming, you don't have the time. You don't have that time to assimilate, to make sure that when they come, they're welcome. That they have to at least want to be British, be a British citizen. They don't have to get rid of their culture, because you bring great food, you bring great parts of your culture over, but they have to be assimilated properly into society. And other countries have gone through this already.
sorry,
Britain
what do you mean
hasn't.
by assimilating in the society? They live in the houses, same as everyone else. They drive cars, they and everything. What do you mean by assimilation?
Assimilation is, if we went to war, would they all fight for Britain under the British flag? That's what I mean. Yeah, you can have your culture and you can have your own ways of life, and that's cool. That's so interesting.
But
But
you
everybody's,
can't force everyone to go and fight. There are, like, for example, Muhammad Ali,
no, it's
Cassius Clay. He didn't go to fight, and that is a choice.
no, it's
Let's
oh
let's
no,
let
no, no, no. No. That's, I'm just trying to give you like
because we're
an
living in
analogy.
Britain. The value here is we're living in Britain. Uh, we're not under any national service, conscription service, so we're not obliged. We're not soldiers to go out for war.
No, 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 no. You're saying what I said
This will
literally.
be like
I meant
you putting into us into uh, just basically a firing line.
No, I think I think you've taken what I said the wrong way. Let me see if I can do it in a different way.
These kind of things, nationalistic
Are you?
stuff.
Are you? It's about coming to Britain
Basically,
and
you know what, James,
being proud of it.
what you just said now is exactly how is perceived, how we perceive Nigel Farage. Is far right EDL type of movement, because they have
No,
so similar type of beliefs. Yeah, British first. You got to go to war when you're asked to go to war, and so on. So, and looking back at the uh, how would you explain that? Going to war, you can't force anyone. How would you explain that? I mean,
no, I didn't say that. I didn't mean what you. Yeah, I think you've just picked up on that one. I was trying to, if you come to, if I, when I went to the Gulf states in Bahrain, I lived in Bahrain. Yes, I was British, but I made sure that I blended in. I got to know everyone. I got to know the culture. I got to. Yeah, I'm not saying that everybody comes here has to go to war. I'm just saying that from your perspective, to people.
I mean, who defines who? I mean, the governments define where the war should be taking place. Like, for example, Iraq war. Would you expect me to go and fight in Iraq, or Asian guy or a Muslim guy to go there and fight people in Iraq or
No,
Syria?
no, I didn't. I didn't mean it like that. No, I mean
If
it's
it
a
feels
difficult
like
one.
your the if because this is exactly how Nigel Farage comes across as well,
Mm,
generally in the media. He comes across as if you're going to enforce your British values on people who of different culture, different beliefs. Like even a socialist worker, for example, will have different viewpoints to reforms. And if you can't force,
absolutely, and
and you
everyone's
for
entitled to that.
will socialist worker, he disagrees to go to war because he doesn't think that war is ethical here. Yeah, and it's difference of view.
That's a fair point.
So
Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
so would you enforce that on people? Because you just said forced to go to war from Europe. I mean,
No, I didn't say that.
UK has so far. I'll tell you what my beliefs are. UK has so far have have instigated wars in Iran, in Iraq. I mean, Syria,
Yeah,
and
which I
maybe
didn't agree with.
potentially, yeah. And this is the big question that I've asked the other parties as well, especially the Labour Party. That we've always had the opposition, and Sunak, a couple of months ago, he started bombing Yemen, and this issue was not discussed
Mm.
in Parliament. So should we be going to war? That's another
I
thing.
totally agree with you,
How
Alan. I don't. It should be voted in Parliament.
mm,
It should be voted. I completely agree. We didn't go to Syria. We didn't get involved because David Cameron gave Parliament the vote, and Parliament said no. Any war that happens that Britain goes to, it has to be voted on. The people have to decide.
like, for example,
I'm totally with you on that. Absolutely, 100%.
Libya was bombed left, right, and center. It was the
Terrible,
richest country in the world. What's your views on that?
terrible. There was no need.
Mm.
It was just, it was just pointless.
Mm.
It's just pointless.
But
I don't agree with war. I don't agree. I agree with self-defense. I mean, you got to defend your own country if it ever happens. But I don't agree with war in any form, because every human being is precious, and we can always talk about our differences. We don't always have to. It doesn't have to always turn into violence. And no, so I'm completely with you on that.
yeah, let's
One,
move away from war now because we've discussed enough.
yeah,
Now
yeah.
the
It's a
question,
bit, bit.
I'll just put you under
It's
pressure.
a
Yeah,
bit different.
sorry about that. Just put you under pressure.
Yeah,
So let's say
yeah.
there is a genocide. What's your views on on Israel. Let me just get some figures out on Israel and what's happening in Israel at the moment. Do you think there's a genocide that is happening in Gaza?
I don't know because I'm not there, and I'm not a. I don't even. Yeah, I just.
Yeah, GB survey.
I don't know. It's very difficult for me to have an opinion because I just don't know.
I mean, obviously, you mentioned earlier on about Palestine is what is happening, and a lot of the views in UK is there is a genocide happening. ICJ,
Yeah.
International Court of Justice, they even said that there's a
Mm.
genocide taking place. So you, as an
Yeah.
individual, why don't you have an opinion on this?
Because I think, to be honest, I've got so much going on in my head at the moment. Yeah, it's just.
Is it
Yeah, I don't know if I'm qualified enough to.
is it
Yes,
something you know about
I know what's going on, and it's awful.
Yeah.
But I just don't think I'm qualified enough to. Because yeah.
So if you were asked, let's take this back. If you were asked by the government to take up arms and go to Israel to free the Holy Land, would you do? What's your views on that? Would you go there? That's taking going back into what you said earlier relating to wars, because because
In what sort of way?
let's say, for example, Britain enters into war with let's say in Israel. It basically gets dragged into Yemen, for example. Would you take up arms and help the soldiers out?
Bit of a difficult one, really. It's all kind of hypothetical, isn't it? I mean,
It's not hypothetical because you mentioned earlier on that like British values is basically defending the national flag, going to war when there's need to go to war. So I'm giving you a scenario here.
self-defense. I
Yeah.
said, yeah,
Self-defense.
not as an aggressor.
Yeah, but at the moment it looks like America, UK has been an aggressor all the way along. When in Afghanistan, it pulled out after 20 years, which was it
Disaster.
cost more than Vietnam. It went to
Mm.
Iraq, pulled out, destroyed the whole country. It's worse than when Saddam was there. Yeah, and so UK America has always been an aggressor. So there's never been there. Our shows are always protected and free, and there's no one has attacked us since World War II. So we've always instigated the war, whether in Iraq or something like Afghanistan. Would you take up arms and fight in these armies?
No.
Why wouldn't you? You said you want to be British values, and now you're saying you're not going to take up arms.
But I also did say that I don't agree with war, and I said that many times. I just don't agree with war. I just don't think that they ever solve anything. All you do is you just create more hurt, more hate. I'm into peace. I'm not.
Nigel Farage won't say that. He'd say he'd encourage his team to take up arms to do.
No. If you need to watch him today on this. No, he's like Trump. He wants peace. War costs money. We want to make money. We don't want war. What does war do? It doesn't solve anything.
Okay.
But when it comes to defending, if somebody, we got Russia with come over and start throwing missiles all over Great Britain, then that's a different story. That's about self-defense. And now I agree with self-defense. You've got to defend your people. But I'm not into wars. I'm not into people suffering, no matter who they are, where they're from. And I've never ever.
I'll tell you something, my friend. If Russia comes here to drop weapons, I would join against Russia as well to defend my
Yeah,
country. You understand? But the
yeah.
issue
Well,
here
that's what.
is about Palestine. Palestine, if
Mm,
do you see Palestine? There's a genocide happening there. Let me just give you some. You mentioned earlier on that you don't know there's a genocide happening,
mm.
but ICJ have declared
I
there's a.
mean, what is? Yeah, yeah. Just tell me what the definition is, because have you got it there?
I don't know the definition, but from what I know,
Yeah.
is basically they're mowing the lawn, they're cleaning everything out, killing everyone that comes in their way. It's basically like I'd say, when one of the crusades happened and I think the first crusade, they just butchered everyone that came in their way in Palestine, Christian, Jews, Muslims, they just butchered everyone. Yeah, that's the
Mm.
history. Yeah, that's the history. Yeah, and now I've got
What
some.
did that achieve? Nothing. Yeah, go on. Sorry,
Yeah, I
Ahmed.
mean,
Go on.
in terms of the figures, include coming out from GB News, 46% of the people agree that there's a genocide happening. Let's say 50% of them agree that genocide is happening. So this is British values. So there is
Mass murder. Yeah, I completely agree.
mass murder, genocide.
But I'm not. I'm again. I'm only getting what you're getting. I'm only getting it from the news.
Yeah,
I do try and watch Al Jazeera just to get a more balanced view. Um, because I just want to have a look at each side. What I do know, there's a lot of suffering going on, and it really does have to stop.
yeah,
It really, really has to stop.
yeah.
Two wrongs don't make a right,
Yeah.
and it's
I
not
mean,
fair.
what
It's
is
not
your
fair.
what is your policies? What is your policies on Palestine then? I know. What is going to be your policies on Palestine, or or is it just beyond your reach? That question.
It's yeah, well, yeah, it is. It's beyond my reach, but reform don't want to carry on. They do want peace, and they want it to stop.
Yeah, they just want to. I
Yeah.
mean, in terms of you mentioned about that war costs money and so forth, but at the same time, the government in UK is also still selling weapons to Israel. That that is doing this, and that brings in money as well, doesn't it? It keeps the factories going. There's a circular flow of income. Fact, you
I
increase.
think it's more backed by the by American money. But what Donald Trump, he doesn't agree with it either. He's going to stop it as soon as he becomes president. So I think, not we're not all bad people. We don't all think the same way. And please don't.
No, I mean,
There are
when you
the
mentioned Donald,
majority of people just think it's horrible, it's sick, and it's got to stop.
yeah, like this multiculturalism and values that you talked about, it just basically feels a bit more of a racist group to me, far right racist group that just will not tolerate anything else apart from what you think is right. And even British values have evolved so much, we don't know what the
Mm,
definition of British values are.
it's a fair point.
Yeah, and
Mm.
you just don't have, from yourself, can't get a clear picture of what reform is all about. And
Well, we're online. You've got contact with the people. You can read. It's very, very difficult for me to speak because, I mean, everything that you need to know about reform is out there.
I mean,
But it just
what I've seen is
it sounds like you've already made your mind
no,
up
no,
without
no.
actually
But what I've
researching
seen
it.
is immigration, immigration, immigration. That's plastered all
Mm,
over the leaflets,
yeah,
and we just
mm,
see immigration as a problem. But talking to you, hopefully today, is basically gave us an insight about. I didn't know
yeah,
about mass immigration, controlled immigration, that kind of stuff. Um,
mm,
but
mm,
now, when the economies, when civil service, when they do planning on for NHS services, housing, and all that kind of stuff, the way they've manage the different services, I think that's where the problem is, because
Hmm?
they should be taking resilience, expansibility into account when they are designing the NHS services, when they are designing different infrastructure. Because if
Agree.
there's more people coming in, have they not done any stress analysis on the NHS? Yeah, on
Absolutely. No,
the
I
services.
totally agree with you.
So
Yeah.
personally, I think it's not the immigration, because if we were the best economy, yeah, then immigration should be a problem, because our services would be fit enough to
Mm.
accommodate for X amount of people coming into the country. Yeah, and it's the way the things are managed. I think that's where the problem is. It's not the
Mm.
it's not the immigration itself, the people themselves. Is how the
How it's
government, the
managed.
labor and the conservatives have spending their money on services, and they're not taking into extensibility into account. Yeah, they,
No, I think that's a really valid. Yeah,
mm. So maybe we can
I get it.
offline, maybe we can discuss more on this, as maybe me or
Yeah,
you discuss more about these issues, because we've got to look beyond immigration. Because I
we
don't
do.
think immigration is a problem, to tell you the truth. Because immigration is healthy, because those, even the non-skilled people coming
It
in,
is.
they then coming in, they will build their own house. They will in fact finance. Let's say, for example, before Brexit, when the Polish came in, influx of Polish and Ukrainian came in, they themselves not only brought the culture with them, they brought a lot of money into the country as well, because they
Yes.
were selling inheritance, their houses in Poland, and buying houses in UK, buying stock of
Yeah.
houses in UK. So that influx of money improves the economy. Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah. It's been so. Right. I'm not being rude, Ahmed,
okay,
but
I think we need
I've
another
got
chat. I think we
some.
need to, after the election, we need to meet up and
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
take
No,
you
that'd be
take you
good.
for a
Yeah.
meal and stuff like that, because I've,
Oh,
I
that'd be
think
excellent.
if
Yeah.
you branch out to different people like myself, Asians, maybe we can discuss, and that's how we can expand our viewpoints on different people in our society.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely really want. Yeah.
So I'll
I'm with
keep
you.
you keep your email address, and I think I'll invite you, and I think we it's a very healthy discussion on the on the
Yeah.
on the on the phone over here. Yeah, on Zoom, it's not a natural way of discussing. So maybe when we're in
No.
person, there's a lot of things that we can share that we can't share on online. Like that.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks very much for this, Samuel. Yeah, and
Thank you.
hopefully we'll speak again. Yeah, in the near
Yeah.
future.
Definitely.
Maybe on the hostings on Sunday. Is there a hostings? Are you coming to the hostings?
No. Where's that?
That's in the Halifax.
Is it the church?
Yeah, Halifax Minster in
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. I don't. I have to check.
Yeah.
Yeah. I may be there. I may not
I'll
be.
send you an
I just got
invite, because
so
it's
busy.
very important, because all the candidates will be there, and
Yeah. Okay.
it'll be good to have you there. I mean, nice to see you there in person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Definitely.
have a nice
Yeah. If you
evening.
send me that. Yeah. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
take it.
Speak to you
Take
later.
care.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay.
All
Bye.
right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.